everyone, so today's video is going to be another video specifically for Disability Pride Month. Now it's very ironic that I'm filming all of these videos for Disability Pride Month when I'm experiencing some kind of health crisis, because as you might have noticed in a couple of my other videos, I've said before that I have been having very little energy lately, and lately I've also been really tired, abnormally tired for me. And obviously I do experience fatigue as a disabled person with multiple chronic illnesses, but this is extreme to the point where I can barely do anything. So filming these videos is taking a lot out of me. So if I slowly lose power or energy throughout this video, it's because of that. It's very difficult to film currently, so yeah, just bear with me throughout these videos. I really hope the quality of this video is better than the videos that I filmed last week. Last week my phone was acting weird, so if you see a couple of my videos that I'm gonna post in July be less quality than usual, it's because my phone was acting weird last week. So yeah, I'm really sorry about that, but I hope this video turns out better. So yeah, let's actually get into the topic of this video now, which is, obviously if you've already read the title, you already know what it is, but it's being able to have disability pride during Disability Pride Month as someone who's undiagnosed. Now, as I'm filming this, I'm actually partially diagnosed, but when I wrote all of this down, or when I wrote most of this down, I was fully undiagnosed because I wrote this down 2 months ago. And since then I've received one diagnosis, so I'm not fully undiagnosed anymore, but I'm definitely still mostly undiagnosed, considering that that one diagnosis is definitely not all of it, but for now that's all I have. So yeah, I'm not fully undiagnosed anymore, but I'm definitely still mostly undiagnosed, so I feel like I could still make this video. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk all about what it's like to, have disability pride, or somehow try to have it when you're mostly undiagnosed. So yeah, I hope this is an interesting video. I just thought of this subject because it's something that I struggle with. So yeah, this video might be quite ranty because I wrote a lot of stuff down, but it's not like I can't really show you anything or anything like that. So it's just gonna be me talking for probably half an hour. So if you want to watch that, then watch it, I guess. I honestly don't know who would even be interested in this video, but I want to make it. So yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. So first of all, the disability community is very welcoming, especially on Twitter, which I'm not really that active in the disability community other than Twitter. A little bit on Instagram, but I feel because I'm a Bookstagram account and not a mostly disability account, I am not super involved in the disability community on there, but I am quite involved in the disability community on Twitter. And even though I was on there from the very beginning of my health problems basically, and so I was fully undiagnosed at that point, and for most of the time that I've been on disability Twitter, people are still very welcoming, even though I can't really share any advice or anything like that because I don't really have a lot of experience with that kind of stuff. Also because I'm very young and I've only had very intense health issues for a couple of years, so I don't have that much experience or advice. But even though I don't have a lot of that, people still accept people like me in the community, which I really appreciate, because obviously for someone like me who can't really go outside a lot and lost basically all of my friends, the little amount of friends I already had, I basically lost because of that. And so being able to have the disability community on Twitter really helps, because it made me feel less alone, even though I still am, because this is the most amount of social interaction that I get every single week, and I'm literally talking to my phone. So I'm obviously still very lonely, but the disability community definitely helped me kind of come to terms with that, I guess, and realize that it's not that strange that your friends leave you once you become disabled, which is very sad, but it's a reality. And that honestly, hearing people say that oh, that happened to me too, I was oh, at least I'm not alone. I guess I'm not just someone who's completely unlovable. Like, it's just because a lot of people are ableist and don't want to be friends with someone who's disabled, so it's not fully my fault, and it's not fully because I'm just boring and unlovable. It's probably partially because of that, but mostly because of the ableism. So yeah, having like the disability community on Twitter tell me that all of those things were kind of normal to experience once you become disabled helped a lot, but I still didn't really feel like I fully fit in, because again, I couldn't give like advice, or I couldn't help anyone like how to get diagnosed or anything like that, because I wasn't diagnosed myself. And yeah, I still don't really feel like I fully fit in, but that might just be like my autistic brain telling me that I don't fit in anywhere because I'm too different. So yeah, maybe that's just me, but the disability community on Twitter, at least for me, is very accepting, and I really appreciate that, because again, disabled people are often very lonely. So yeah, I really appreciate that like I can talk to people on there, even if it's not like very often. So yeah, now something that I've learned from being on like disability Twitter or disability Instagram even, is to be proud of things that I normally wouldn't be proud of, because for able-bodied people it's so easy to do, but because of disability Twitter it really helped me like celebrate the small things. Like me, for example, just posting a photo on Twitter about like my outfit or something like that, because I really like doing that, and people commenting like, wow, like your hair must be so difficult to wash, it must be such a task, like you should be proud of yourself for washing it. And whenever I see comments like that, I'm always like, wow, people actually like appreciate how much effort I put into stuff like that. And I feel like able-bodied people don't really fully understand that. I feel like when they see someone with like my amount of hair, which if you don't know how long my hair is, just look at any picture on Instagram or Twitter, it's quite long. It comes to almost like my knees. And yeah, I feel like able-bodied people still like comment like, wow, your hair is so long, but none of them ever go like, wow, it must be such a task for you to like wash your hair. Like, good job on you for at least like washing it like twice a week, which I know the second I say twice a week, some people are gonna be like, that's really nasty, you should wash it like every other day. Well, I can't. Like, I'm disabled. If I wash it for more than twice a week, I will break my entire body in the process, and I would rather not. So twice a week it is. Now, many amazing things have also happened since I joined disability Twitter, which once again, that's the platform that I use the most. I do also use like Instagram obviously, but Twitter is just what I use the most. And like I said, many amazing things have happened since I started using disability Twitter. Like, I've gained a lot of support from people for things I find difficult or experiences that have happened to me that are very ableist, and for people to then like comment and be like, wow, that's very ableist. That is something that I really appreciate, because obviously as someone who doesn't really have anyone to talk to other than like my parents basically, and both of my parents are quite ableist themselves, so they would probably be one of the people like joining the ableist person in that situation. So having people like comment and be like, wow, that must be so difficult to deal with, I'm sorry that happened, like that really like helps me like get through those things and stuff like that. So the support that I've gotten is really like great, and that's one of the amazing things that have happened since I joined disability Twitter. And obviously one of the other amazing things that have happened since I joined disability Twitter, which if you've been following my Twitter or my Instagram or basically any social media account, you'll know that I got a cane gifted to me by disability Twitter basically, or with the use of disability Twitter. It was like an anonymous donor, so I don't really know who it was. But yeah, because of that, I was able to get this very pretty cane, which obviously, like, a pretty cane is something that really helps me like be more comfortable in public with using a cane, because I was comfortable before using a cane in public, but I feel like people wouldn't really see it as like something that adds to my outfit. And I feel like a cane like this really does add to my outfit. I feel like it would look really good with an outfit like this, because it's so like light colored. And yeah, that's one of the things that like disability Twitter made happen, and I obviously really appreciate that. I also got my other cane because of Disability Twitter. Again, anonymous donor, which I really appreciate, and I got like a darker colored one because again, I wear a lot of like dark colored outfits as well if you just look at my other videos. So this fits more with like my dark colored outfits, but I talked about those a lot more in my other video that I made for Disability Pride Month, which actually will be uploaded before this one. So either you've already seen it or you haven't seen it and you see this first, and then you can watch the other one, which I'll link it here. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about that now, but those are some of the amazing things that have happened because of Disability Twitter and because of the disability community in general. So yeah. Now another thing that Disability Twitter has helped me with a lot is like actually seeing people like say that a lot of doctors are very ableist and just not good at their job generally. And I feel like before I joined Disability Twitter, whenever I saw doctors being discussed, it was always in a very positive light, because I feel like a lot of able-bodied people, especially like white able-bodied people, who don't usually face like a lot of discrimination with like a doctor, are gonna be a lot faster to like praise a doctor for doing just like their job. And I feel like it's very nice to be on Disability Twitter and see people actually like talk about how bad doctors can be at their jobs, which obviously as a disabled person who has quite a bit of medical trauma, definitely not as much as other people, but who has still quite a bit of medical trauma, I really appreciate seeing people like talk about how bad doctors can be and how ableist they can be and just how uninformed they can be about basically everything. Like the amount of doctors that have told me that I'm too young to experience any kind of serious health issues is just ridiculous. Like, what are they gonna do if like I get something like cancer? Like, are they gonna say I'm too young to get it? Like, it's really strange that like a lot of doctors just don't seem to have like a basic idea on how health works, and that it's not the younger you are, the healthier you are. Like, that's not how a body works. Like, some bodies are just unhealthy in general. Like, and I obviously don't mean healthy as in like what your weight is and all of that. I mean unhealthy as in like how healthy your body is. Like, I know that I have a very bad immune system, and doctors are still refusing to acknowledge that, even though I'm currently literally struggling with like a health issue that most able-bodied healthy people with good immune systems can get rid of in like 2 to 3 weeks, and I've had it for almost 5 months. And doctors are still refusing to like give me anything to boost my immune system so I can get rid of the problem. And they're refusing because I'm young and healthy and have a good immune system. Because obviously a 23-year-old who uses a cane to walk is the pinnacle of health. Like, that is the ideal version of a 23-year-old, is to walk around with a cane because your legs are not strong enough to support you. Like, that is the pinnacle of health apparently. So you heard it here first, everyone. I am completely healthy. There's nothing wrong with my immune system. It's not like I've been trying to get rid of this very basic health issue that should have gone away on its own like 4 months ago, and I'm still struggling to get rid of. It's not like that's abnormal or that's like a sign of me having a bad immune system. That's not it at all. I am very healthy because I am 23 and young. So yeah, like I already said, a lot of doctors just don't make sense at all. And it really pisses me off, as you can probably tell, because I'm getting like more heated as I talk. So I'm probably gonna move on to the next point. So yeah, my point being, a lot of doctors are just not good at listening to their patients and doing their job in general. Well, the joke's on me, because the next couple points that I wrote down also have to do with doctors. So I guess we're just doing a mini section about doctors in this video, because I feel like obviously doctors are a very large part of why people are undiagnosed and why people like me are undiagnosed. Again, people that doctors see as very like young and healthy people just because I'm young. Like it's again very strange how doctors like view age as like a way to determine someone's health, and the way that they also view someone's weight to determine like their health. So yeah, it's just very weird in general, but I'm just gonna talk about doctors a little bit more, I guess. So watch me get more heated as this video continues, I guess. So the next thing that I wrote down is how doctors often think that they know your body better than you, even though they've known your body for about 5 minutes and you've known it for however long you've been alive and conscious of the fact that you've had a body. And it's very strange that they think that, especially because again, they oftentimes only see you for like 5 minutes, and then they'll be like, oh, what you're experiencing is completely normal. And then I'm just sitting there like, no, it's not. And then they'll be like, oh, it's extremely normal for a young woman like you to experience some stress because, oh, school must be so difficult for you, right? And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, man, I haven't gone to school in like 3 years because I can't walk. A lot of schools are inaccessible and I can't afford a wheelchair, so if there's no way for me to get around to school, I'm not going to be able to go to school. So again, it's really strange that like a lot of doctors act like that, like they know what your body does and why it does it a lot better than you do. And again, they just go off of this like idea that they have of you, like, oh, because I'm a young person, I must be going to school and going out to drink with friends, and I don't do any of those things, mostly because of my disabilities that you refuse to take serious. Like, it's very weird how a lot of doctors will also like look down on people who will like use Google to see whether they have a condition or not. Like, you have those like very weird sayings. I'll see if I can find an example of it, of like doctors saying like, oh, Google doesn't have a medical degree, I do. And I'm just like, okay, well, Google at least realizes that young people can have disabilities and you don't. So whether you have a degree or not, I don't really think it matters at this point. Like, I think I can use Google to look up whether or not I have symptoms of something, and if you as a doctor then look at me and go, you're too young to have those symptoms, that's not gonna help me at all. That's very unhelpful, and Google is more helpful than that. Also, Google doesn't cost me like a lot of money, and when I first said that sentence like a couple seconds ago, I actually swore in it, but I'm not gonna do that because this is a family-friendly channel, even though I curse my social medias all the time. But yeah, Google doesn't cost me a lot of money for just like 10 minutes of a doctor explaining to me that I'm too young to have anything. And Google also doesn't make me wait in a waiting room on a very hard, uncomfortable chair for an hour while you're eating lunch. Like, Google doesn't do that. I can immediately access it. Also, Google doesn't make me like wait like 5 months before I can even get an appointment that again will last 5 minutes and I will have waited an hour for in the waiting room. Like, Google doesn't do any of that. So like, I feel like even like able-bodied people who don't really come in contact with doctors a lot can realize why for a lot of people Google is just more accessible, because you have to go through all of these barriers and then you actually get an appointment with a doctor and you're there and they just tell you that you don't know what your own body does, but they do from their 5 minutes of looking at you sitting in a chair. Like, most of the time they don't even like check my body for anything. They don't really like feel anything. They just look at me and they're just like, no, nothing wrong with you because you're sitting down and you're not crying your eyes out. So because of that, you're perfectly healthy, even though you're literally holding a cane in your hand and you're 23, still perfectly healthy. Like, how does that work? How does any of that work? Doctors are so weird sometimes. And I know that like not all doctors are like that, but honestly, I've never met a doctor that isn't like that. So it's very difficult for me to imagine that. So I'll get back to you guys if I ever do meet a doctor like that. So you'll see me again in like 10 years, I assume. Doctors also have this very weird idea in their head that nobody wants a diagnosis of any kind. And so whenever I go to a doctor specifically to ask them to see if they can test me for this kind of condition and see if they can diagnose me, every single time without fail, they'll ask me why I would possibly want a diagnosis like that. Like, I don't want a diagnosis like that. Like, I'm 23. Like, I would like to be able to go outside and actually enjoy being outside for once, instead of being in pain constantly and being stared at and being asked like weird questions about my health. I would like all of that to stop if it could, but I can't. And one of the things that's stopping me from being able to actually get treatment, like any kind of treatment for any kind of condition I might have, because again, I don't know what kind of conditions I could all have, but the thing that's stopping me from getting treatment for any of those is by a doctor not wanting to diagnose me because I'm too young. Like, my health issues are not gonna go away just because you refuse to put a label on them. Like, it's so annoying. The amount of times that like a doctor has sat in front of me and gone, why would you possibly want a diagnosis like that? I don't know, man, because I'm in pain all the time and I want a reason for it. Like, I want to be able to feel my pain and go, that's the reason why, and not have like imposter syndrome where I'm just constantly telling myself that I'm making up the pain that I'm feeling. Like, if I'm able to have a diagnosis for it, then I can look at that diagnosis and go, that's why I feel pain. And it's normal to feel pain for me because of that diagnosis. It's not weird, it's not abnormal, that's just what my body does. But now I do think sometimes that my body is weird or my brain is weird for making me feel pain even though it's not there, because there's no cause for it. But there is a cause. But doctors are just not willing to tell me what the cause is. Even if they know what it is, they still won't tell me. Like, I've literally had a doctor sit in front of me and go, oh, I'm certain of the fact that you have this kind of condition. And then he immediately after that, he went, yeah, but I'm not going to diagnose you because you're too young. Like, what? What is that? Like, what is that? Why? Like, literally, like, I asked him why he didn't want to diagnose me, and he literally told me that would make me like compliant to the diagnosis, and I would only become worse because I would stop trying to get better. Keep in mind, the diagnosis that he was certain I had but was refusing to give to me was a chronic condition that would not go away. So he wanted me to get better of a condition that I can't get better of. Like, again, tell me how doctors spend so many times in university studying and don't learn what the word chronic means. Like, tell me how that works. Like, what are they doing in university? Like, seriously, what are they doing? And I feel like because so many doctors say that to me and other people like me, obviously, that we can't possibly want a diagnosis, because having a diagnosis is bad and will make you disabled, as if I'm not disabled already. Like, that will obviously make you feel bad about wanting a diagnosis. Like, if you hear it so many times, you're gonna start believing it. And having the disability community on Twitter kind of like support you wanting a diagnosis, like, really helps in those moments that you start to believe those doctors, and then you read comments being like, it's completely normal that you would want a diagnosis because it can help you actually get some kind of treatment, like pain medication or anything like that. And without a diagnosis, you have basically like no access to that. And even with a diagnosis, you don't have any access to that. Like I already said, I am a bit diagnosed now. I have one condition diagnosed, and that is a condition that causes pain, and they didn't give me any prescription for pain medication at all, because they said that that was something that they only do for people who are older. So once again, I'm being refused something because I'm too young. But apparently I'm not too young to just suffer from pain like 24/7. Apparently I'm not too young for that. But getting pain medication for said pain, I love it when my phone stops filming in the middle of me ranting about the fact that I could possibly die before I even get access to pain medication from doctors. But yeah, I'm not gonna do that whole rant again because now I'm kind of mad at the fact that my phone stops filming all the time now, and it doesn't give me any kind of notification that it stopped filming. So that's very fun. But yeah, basically, like I already said, I was talking about how doctors are probably not going to give me pain medication until like the day that I die, which, again, very lovely thought. I mean, not again, because y'all didn't hear that I already said that, but yeah, not going to talk about it more because now I really don't feel well, and yeah, I don't want to do that whole rant again, so let's just move on to the next point and try to finish this video as fast as we can, because I'm really not feeling well. Like seriously, I feel like I'm about to pass out, which isn't good. So, yeah. Now, next I wrote down that I wanted to talk about how doctors can really like destroy the joy that you feel once you actually get a diagnosis. Because like I already said, I have one diagnosis now, and the way that I got that diagnosis completely ruined any kind of joy that I had from receiving a diagnosis. Because I always imagined that if I actually did get a diagnosis, I would celebrate it with like a cake, like a very small one, because I can't really eat a lot of cake. But I would celebrate it in a way, and I would be very proud of myself for like pushing through to get a diagnosis of some kind. And like I already said, like a very ableist doctor can completely ruin that, because I had that experience. Obviously I wanted to like celebrate getting diagnosed finally, and then I actually got diagnosed with one condition, and the way that I got diagnosed was completely ruined because the doctor like fat shamed me, which is very interesting considering the fact that I definitely don't qualify as fat, which just says a lot about how fat phobic this doctor was. But yeah, this doctor just wasn't great in general. Like I said, they fat shamed me. They told me that I should stop using like colorful canes because I had brought my purple cane with me during that appointment, and they told me that that was attracting too much attention to the fact that there's something wrong with me and I should hide it better by using like a cane that's very boring looking so nobody would look at it, which I don't think this doctor has ever used a mobility aid before like a cane, because no matter what color it is, people are always gonna stare. Like, because I'm young, people are always gonna stare. It doesn't matter what color my cane is. I used black colored canes, which maybe you can see them in the background, for literal years before I got my purple one, and people stare almost the exact same amount. Now they just do like triple takes instead of double takes when they see my cane, because they do it a third time to appreciate the color. Like, it really doesn't help using like a plain colored cane. And the idea of like hiding the fact that there's something wrong with you is, first of all, kind of impossible for someone like me who struggles to walk without a cane. And second of all, it makes it very difficult to feel any kind of disability pride, which is again the topic of this video in case you forgot. But it's very difficult to feel disability pride when a doctor who literally gave you a diagnosis tells you to hide the fact that you have any kind of diagnosis. Like, that really doesn't help, like, at all. So yeah, I could probably talk about this for much longer, but like I said, I don't feel well. My camera keeps like stopping the recording, which is really annoying, and I don't know why it suddenly does that. It has never done that before. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the next point. So the last point that I wrote down was how you as a disabled person are made to feel like a burden to society in general, and your family and friends if you have either of those. Obviously I don't have the second one, but yeah, if you have either of those, you're made to feel like a burden to them, and how because you're made to feel like that, it's very difficult to feel any kind of disability pride when people around you are just telling you that you're being a burden on like your parents. For me, as an example, like my own parents will say that about the other one, that I'm being a burden on one of them because I rely on them too much, and I should be like all the other kids my age who, you know, are able to live on their own and live their own life, and how I can't really do that and how I'm being a burden because of that. And obviously that's not fun to hear at all. And I obviously, because I'm being told that so much, especially by people who are close to me, I obviously like believe that. Like I believe that I'm a burden, even though when I see other disabled people talking about feeling like a burden to their parents, like my brain will automatically go like, no, you're not a burden, that's not true. But then I think of myself as a burden to my parents. So yeah, it's obviously something that like I should work on. I don't know if I'll ever be able to not feel like that, just because like, again, society in general will also tell you that you're being a burden, and doctors will tell you that, and like other people in general, like just random strangers will tell you that you're being a burden. So yeah, it's something that I obviously still struggle with, to not think that. And again, like I said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop thinking like that, but yeah, I'm gonna try, I guess. But yeah, I don't really think I have much else to say in this video other than the fact that like I'm very glad that you sat through this video. I feel like not a lot of the video was actually about disability pride while you're undiagnosed, but I feel like most of it still was, especially because I talked a lot about doctors, but doctors are the reason why people are undiagnosed, so I feel like it was still like a relevant topic. So I hope that wasn't like too annoying. I'm also gonna hopefully figure out what's happening with my phone. I think it might have something to do with me like updating my phone and the movements that I make with my hands sometimes. I think if I like, you know, do this motion, but do it towards the camera with my hands like this, I think it like change the settings where it tells the camera to stop filming then. So I'm gonna see if I can change that, and if that's even like the problem. It could just be like my camera just hating me talking about disability, because this only started when I was filming a video about disability. So maybe my phone is ableist, like who knows? It's me having an ableist phone. But yeah, I'm still very glad that you sat through this video. If you did, like I said, I am feeling very ill and just not well in general, which is unfortunate because I thought about maybe filming another video after this, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna lay in bed and suffer for a little bit before I have to go to physical therapy. So that's gonna be fun. But with this video, I have filmed all of the videos that I needed to film for Disability Pride Month, and this is also gonna be the last video that I will upload during Disability Pride Month, I'm pretty sure. So I hope you enjoyed all of my like disability related content. I know it was only like 4 videos, I think, but like I already said, I'm really struggling to film because of everything that's going on with my health. And again, because I get 0 help from doctors at this point, I hope that didn't stop the video from me making that motion. But yeah, because I get 0 help, obviously I can't take a lot of pain medication. I have access to very like low grade pain medication, but that doesn't really do much. So yeah, blame doctors for me not being able to give you a lot of content. Don't come at me for it, come at doctors. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here because again, I really don't feel well and I feel like I'm gonna pass out. So I'm just gonna stop filming before I actually do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.